So how's your ankle mobility doing? Chances are if you're here, they probably still need a little bit of improvement. And considering our feet are the first point of contact when it comes to the ground, our ankles are basically the mobility foundation for our entire body. Depending on their mobility, we will either align or misalign our knees, hips, and the rest of our body as we stand up, as we walk, or even while we are seated in something like a deep squat or a resting squat position. Which, by the way, is also a foundational movement or pattern that we should be able to get into from any point, be it in a seated position or in a standing position. And that requires a lot of ankle mobility. The same goes for walking and running. You will not get around having loose, limber, but strong and bulletproof ankles if you want to keep your entire body healthy the older you get. Having done a lot of strength training before even getting the idea of working on my mobility, my ankles have taken a lot of beating that they shouldn't have, and injuries that I could have avoided if I had worked on this much earlier. So what we're gonna do today is take you through multiple exercise levels, starting with flexibility and working our way to control and strength to bulletproof your ankles and help you get around, not only getting injured, but also helping you acquire the mobility required for more advanced mobility or movement patterns. So if you're ready, let's go and have some fun. Starting with stretching. Now, when it comes to stretching, there are only two mandatory exercises that I would advise you to do, and they are both so easily replicable that there are absolutely no excuses for you not to do them. And the first one will be taking our ankles into complete extension. All we need to do for this is basically plant the back of our feet on the ground and start sitting down all the way. The weight of our body is going to push our feet more and more into this ankle extension, which is going to help us lengthen our tibialis and over time get into this completed extension. Now, if you cannot sit like this comfortably, then what you can do is just elevate your butt using yoga blocks or whatever you have, and over time start increasing your range of motion or decreasing the elevation until you can fully remove all of it and sit down fully comfortably. This way we have taken care of our ankle extension with a sitting non-exercise, because what we're doing is not an exercise, we're just sitting. And the second stretch would be about ankle flexion, meaning decreasing the angle we have in our ankle, just like so. And for this one, all we need to do is basically elevate our toes and push our knee forward, getting it over our toes. Now you can do this in a standing position, which will help you release more tension in your calves over time. But since we have the gastrocnemius and the soleus in our calves, that means that one of the stretches has to be in a standing position and one of the stretches should be in a seated position, just so we can hit all of those stretching points. Now, on one hand, you can work dynamically, just step forward with your other foot, move your right leg forward and move backwards. Move forward and move backwards. You can go through a handful of repetitions, and at the end of the set, just hold the stretch statically for up to 30 seconds. So you can go through your dynamic movements on the left side and then the dynamic movements on the right side, and hold the end of your set with a static stretch, just like so, by moving forward and extending your leg completely. Having taken care of our stretching in the extension as well as in the flexion phase, now we can move on to low impact mobilization exercises. Now, all you need to do for this one is basically step forward into a pseudo lunging position, but we're gonna additionally get on our toes in the back foot. And this is gonna be an amazing bonus, because what we're gonna do is switch between ankle extension right here into ankle flexion, just like so, with the added bonus that while our toes are on the ground, we're having an amazing stretch in our entire foot musculature, which over time will help us as well when it comes to our ankle mobility. Now, from here, we're basically working on putting enough pressure on our ankle to get into more flexion in the right leg, while moving dynamically between extension and flexion in the left leg. So here we are releasing tension in the back and putting more pressure in the flexion phase right here. And then we're extending our left leg, sitting back all the way, putting as much pressure on our foot as we can without having any pain to get this amazing stretch going. So now we're moving forward into this lunging position and sitting back, keeping our foot fully flat on the ground by pressing our toes and our foot into the floor. Forward and reverse. And of course, we have to switch sides once more. Complete extension, flexion in the back, complete flexion in the front, taking stress off the back foot. Backwards and forward and backwards and forward. And you're gonna notice just this simple exercise is absurdly effective in helping you mobilize your ankles before you need to do any sort of exercise. Now we can move on to something that, while is still a basic movement, will require a little bit more strength, a little bit more control, and is a must do when working on your ankle mobility. We're gonna stand up, we're gonna extend one leg, and we're gonna keep our other foot fully flat on the ground. Now what we're gonna do from here is start moving lower and lower and lower towards the ground without our heel touching the floor and while our foot is in complete contact. Meaning if you go too low and you don't have the required mobility, your heel is going to start raising, and that is a sign for you to move back and reduce your range of motion. So all we need to do is keep that leg extended, move forward, lower and lower as much as you can, and then extend once more. Get up fully and reverse the movement. Over time, this is basically the beginning of being able to go into a complete pistol squat and reversing the movement. Keep your leg extended, keep your quadriceps flexed, and now while working on our ankle mobility, we also have a lot of control and a lot of hip flexor and quadricep strength as well. Not only in both legs, but we're also requiring a lot of core dominance to keep us fully upright and from falling down. Now, over time, your range of motion will increase. Maybe you're starting here, and then you're here, and over time you will be able to fully sit down and reverse the entire movement once more. Which moves us to the next strength and control exercise, taking our ankles through a longer controlled range of motion. The easy variation for this one is being seated in this ankle extension. Just like we had before, you can bring your hands on the ground, switch with your toes on the floor into flexion, sit back into this deep squat position. Now it might be that you're not limber enough yet, so your heels are up here. Don't worry about it. Over time, you will get more flexible and you will be able to sit down fully. And once we are here, all we want to do is reverse the movement and sit back down into this extension. So this is the easy variation. Get up on your toes, get into a deep squat, reverse the movement, sit down all the way. If you have the strength, the control, and the flexibility, we want you to keep your hands away from the ground. Get up into a deep squat position, reverse the movement carefully. The slower you go, the more control you exert, the better this exercise will be for you. Get them down all the way. Go into complete extension, get up on your toes, go into complete flexion, and repeat as much as you can. Go for 10 to 12 repetitions, and once you're done, you can basically just sit down right here and get that nice tibialis stretch, just like we did before. Which moves us to what I consider my favorite ankle exercise, not only because we're working on our ankle mobility, but also because this exercise is amazing at strengthening basically every single muscle in your feet. And now having weak foot musculature is already a really big problem, especially if you are a runner, if you enjoy walking a lot, or if you are a human who doesn't want to get injured. And for this one, once more, we will require to elevate our toes, but for a specific reason. We're gonna get our hands on the floor just to keep us more balanced, and we can focus more on the strength and coordination aspect of this exercise, because what we want to do from here is move on to our tiptoes. Now, for some people, that will mean that your feet are just like so, bent or rolling over your toes. But if you are strong enough, and over time, you should be able to get on your toes themselves or on the tips of your toes. So we're gonna switch between this extension that requires a lot of strength and control, into this flexion, getting our heels a little bit lower, just like so, and repeating once more. Up on our toes, complete extension with control and strength, reverse, release, and repeat. If you do not have the balance for this exercise, then you can do it with a wall behind your butt, just so you cannot fall backwards. You can hold the extension for a handful of seconds just to squeeze out the last bit of strength we have in all of those muscles, starting at our toes, moving all the way up to our knees before you get back into that stretch for our lower back leg musculature. And then repeat once more, all the way up, all the way down, and repeat. And this moves us to our final exercise for today, for which we will once again elevate our foot, this time however the back of our foot, and we're gonna step forward into once more our lunging position, with the only difference from before being that number one, we are not on our toes, our foot is extended, and number two, we will raise our knee from the ground, pushing our foot more into this ankle extension before we move down, releasing some of that stress on the ankle before we move up and back once more. Knee down to the ground, up and back, forcing us into more and more and more extension while having this sort of internally rotated foot as well. This is not only going to help us release a lot of tension we have in our anterior chain all the way up to our hip flexors, but also control a strength movement in complete ankle extension. Once you're done with one side, of course, you will have to switch it up, move upward, push your way back, and move forward. We also have a lot of ankle flexion in the front leg, which as usual is another added bonus to one of our exercises. I keep hitting you with bonuses, I know, so you're absolutely welcome. Extend, push your foot down, and reverse knee to the ground. Now, while this is certainly not everything you can do for your ankles, this is definitely more than enough to not only get you going, but to avoid the worst of injuries and the worst of having a lack of mobility, because all of that is going to cost you quality of life over time. However, with that said, once more, sadly, that's all the time I've left you today. If you like the video and subscribe and check out other videos on this channel, because we literally have new ones every single day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Captain Cairo. Peace out.